Welcome and thanks for joining us for this edition of Scope. The Special Parliamentary Committee on Gender-Based Violence is planning to hold public hearings on May 24th and 25th. The public hearings will help identify concrete improvements to the national response to GBV. The committee was set up in 2020 by the National Parliament and chaired by Alatau MP Charles Abel with 7 members.
The Special Parliamentary Committee on Gender-Based Violence will be having public hearings this month. The hearings will discuss critical issues related to addressing GBV, including examining the amount and use of funding provided by the government to address GBV, the delay in establishing the National GBV Secretariat, challenges with investigating and prosecuting GBV cases, and how women's reserve seats can be progressed as a strategy for ensuring women can co-lead the national GBV response. Committee Chair Charles Abel has given his strong support to using the public hearings to help identify concrete improvements to the national response to GBV.
We want to continue to emphasize is the complete unacceptance of the kind of behavior that was displayed again yesterday in this beloved country of ours, Papua New Guinea. It is completely unacceptable to pick on innocent, vulnerable women and perpetrate such violence and torture and punishment upon them is animalistic, to say in the least.
He went on to note that with effectively only 12 months to go in the term of this parliament, the committee is determined to conduct its hearings, elevate the issue of GBV, produce a concise report for Parliament, source funding for the GBV Secretariat, and do everything it can to ensure a minimum number of women are in the next Parliament. Mr. Abel said so many times violence is not reported because of cultural intimidation. Many women who experience violence don't want to speak up in fear of their lives. However, Abel said these are issues that the committee will be addressing and assuring victims that their safety is guaranteed. The committee hearings will be held over 2 days, beginning with a call to a group of frontline workers around the country. It will be a unique opportunity to hear from people in the field who spend their lives working to help women and children suffering from violence. The committee will then call officials from key departments responsible for implementing the national GBV strategy to hear why the implementation of the strategy has been slow to roll out and is still under-resourced and ineffective to prevent the violence still occurring every day. Coalition co-chair and Governor for NCD, Powes Parkop, said the committee wants these hearings to be a chance for people working to end GBV to share their experiences with the whole country. He said the committee wants to give them the platform that will make their cries heard.
Sign a code of conduct so that we ourselves providing leadership in advocating against gender-based violence. We also equally make a commitment at a personal level so that we are walking the talk. We try to manifest as much as we can the values that we are promoting. So, of course, we might fall at some stage, but this is the challenge for us as leaders to provide the leadership, and we are providing the leadership.
After the public hearings, the committee will review all submissions and produce an interim report for Parliament, including recommendations based on what they have learned. The United Nations Development Programme is providing technical support to the Special Parliamentary Committee on GBV as part of its gender programming and the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative. This support aims to address gender-based violence and support longer-term efforts to promote women's participation and leadership in the Parliament.
When we come back, International Jazz Day highlights diplomatic role of uniting people around the world. For the past 8 years since its formal introduction, International Jazz Day has been celebrated each year without miss on the 30th of April by jazz enthusiasts around the globe in 190 countries. UNESCO officially proclaimed April 30th as International Jazz Day in November 2011. Jazz Day highlights its diplomatic role of uniting people around the world, people of all ages and ethnic backgrounds. Jazz enthusiasts believe in the power of jazz as a force for peace, dialogue, and mutual understanding.
Since its introduction on April 29, 2014, Papua New Guinea maintains a jazz element in our university music department and has produced a significant handful of talented jazz practitioners over the years. Jazz is a genre of its own, and that makes it special. Its music has had a profound effect on the literary world, which can be illustrated through the genesis of the genre of jazz poetry. Jazz was born out of and evolved through the African American experience in the U.S. Jazz was a genre that influenced the music of exploratory group Sangoma, who came together in 1977 at PNG's National Arts School. The group showcased their unique blend of traditional songs with jazz and rock instrumentation internationally into the 1980s. George Telek has managed to incorporate traditional PNG folk with pop elements, but jazz is an only occasional flavoring in his music. In 1993, the Tambaran culture of PNG released their infamous song Pingo, captivating listeners with its catchy traditional tune. Jazz encourages originality, personality, and meaningful expressiveness in music. Jazz has never stopped evolving, and even if you play in more traditional styles, the music is most effective and truest to jazz's values when you get creative within the context of the style you're exploring. Melon Funk brought a more Tumbuna style of music, a contemporary flavor if you must. Signature artists like Ben Hakelitz, Buroka Tau, and Richard Mogu set a standard in delivery of such a genre in the musical standing, as jazz is not something you listen to every day in PNG, but their influence brought about a great experience in their time. John Animari, a former lecturer at UPNG, is an avid jazz enthusiast and a wonderful flute player. John has been very active in the jazz scene and put together a mini festival with the help of Cal's Pacific Jam. The festival comprised of events from schools to welfare facilities and outdoor live shows. This initiative is celebrated once a year on the 30th of April and has been this way since its introduction in 2014.
Well, the international jazz, the theme of the jazz theme is to do with the freedom of expression, especially for musicians, and not only musicians, but also to the fellow young musicians, aspiring musicians, and the general community of the behavior and the respect, the integrity that one has to contribute to the good of the society. That's the main important theme of the international UNESCO celebration throughout the world.
The first leg of events brought jazz to the Cheshire homes, bringing smiles on intellectual and Down syndrome children and the residents. Shirley Tuvey, program coordinator for the Inclusive Resource Center of Cheshire Homes, said that they were very happy to commemorate the International Jazz Day, as music is an important factor with the children there. Music has always had a positive impact on the children with special needs. They look forward to having the jazz group come again in the near future.
We are so happy to commemorate the International Jazz Day with our friends from Coast Pacific Jam, that have come and shared one or two songs with us, especially with our children here, our children with disabilities. We are taken out for an hour. We are so blessed. They sit down, feel relaxed, and they listen to some of this music. We are happy that they are here with us today.
As quoted by UNESCO, Jazz Day was and is intended to raise awareness of how this genre can be used as an educational tool and a force for empathy, dialogue, and enhanced cooperation among people. Many governments, civil society organizations, educational institutions, and private citizens currently engaged in the promotion of jazz music will embrace the opportunity to foster greater appreciation not only for the music, but also for the contribution it can make to building more inclusive societies. Students of the Port Moresby International School were given a brief interlude into the history of jazz music and a few tunes by local musicians. The students present for the presentation are all music majors from grades 10, 11, and 12, and all with an abundant talent in their respective choice of instrument and vocal skills. Listening to jazz by seasoned musicians brought great reactions amongst the students.
From September, and every year since 2015 we have been celebrating the UNESCO Music Day. For most of the celebrations that we've had it at the School of Humanities, where the music faculty is. This year, because of COVID-19, our ability to, we have been, we're not able to host it over there because of isolation, and we really have been trying to find a place to have this celebrated, and we are thankful to have Nature Park partner with us in this one, in giving us the opportunity to be here today. Yeah, so music.
Mr. Ruru said that jazz music is a genre you rarely hear on radio, as it is unlike popular music, traditional music, rock and roll, or pop music. It's a genre that not many people are into and not many people are aware of. Hence, the idea of this music day is to be able to bring out to the public what jazz is all about.
In Papua New Guinea, but it's not very big. I think it has been only confined and limited to those who have studied or graduated from the national school, the then national school, and now the faculty of creative arts and the School of Humanities. But we want to bring this music out to the public so they're aware of, not only aware of there are other genres of music, but jazz is a genre of music that comes from another culture.
Mr. Ruru said that Cal's Music Jam aims to promote jazz so that we can appreciate it and convey peace and freedom of expression that UNESCO wants to encourage in our societies. The last event, Jazz in the Park, has been put to the 9th of May this year, a great opportunity to celebrate Mother's Day as well.
After the break, Central Provincial Health Authority kicks off vaccination program in Hiri. Welcome back to Scope. The Central Provincial Health Authority has just gone through the 4th day of implementing its vaccine rollout program. The vaccine program was launched on Wednesday, May 5th, and kicked off in the Hiri district. Edai Town, Sogeri, and Papa Village are 3 of 15 vaccine sites in the Central Province. The vaccination program at Edai Town will run for 2 weeks.
Provinces across the country have begun to roll out vaccine programs for their people. This follows the recent launch of the second round of vaccination to more frontline workers out in the districts. The nationwide campaign runs under the slogan, "Sleeves Up, Be a Vaccine Champion." Central Province is among several provinces already administering vaccination to frontline workers and members of the public. It is targeting 3% of its population, who are mostly the police, the army, teachers and health workers. On Wednesday, May 5th, the Central Provincial Health Authority launched its vaccine program at Edai Town in Boira. Edai Town is one of 15 vaccine sites for the province. The Hiri district has begun the vaccination exercise. Sisa Kini, chairlady of the Central PHA board, launched the province's vaccine rollout program.
Thank you all for coming, and I officially announce the Central Province vaccination program open.
Acting CEO of Central PHA, Dr. James Amini, also delivered the Central Governor's speech at the program launching. He relayed that COVID-19 is pushing the limits of the Central Provincial Government and the PHA, especially in the availability of health facilities. COVID has re-emphasized the need for the province to establish its own provincial hospital, among other health infrastructure.
Due to our proximity for Central Province, our proximity to NCD, Central is at very high risk of COVID-19, and that is spreading fast. As of this week, we are reaching the 200 mark. Obviously, we have no deaths because most of our severe cases have come to Port Moresby and are part of the statistics of NCD, so we have no deaths.
And so health remains a critical development goal. Of that goal is the long overdue Central Provincial Hospital in Bautama.
Land is already allocated and the project must be supported by all stakeholders to make it a reality. The other project is the Kwikila Interim Provincial Hospital rehabilitation, which is processing very slowly due to administrative processes. This red tape must be eliminated immediately to deliver this project.
According to Governor Agarobe, the health outcomes and poor health indicators in the province will not improve unless critical hospital infrastructure is developed.
You also in the health facilities?
During the Central PHA vaccine launch, 3 frontline health workers demonstrated the vaccination process. At your typical vaccine site, the patient needs to sanitize before moving on to registration for data collection purposes and monitoring and evaluation. After registration, patients move on to pre-treatment, which includes authorization to the health worker to administer the vaccine. Then it's time to get the AstraZeneca shot. After the shot, the patient is given a green card to indicate he or she has been vaccinated. They then move to the observation area, where they are closely monitored in case there is a serious reaction to the vaccine. Dr. Amini, who is also the chief pediatrician in PNG, encouraged the public to get vaccinated.
One of the things about vaccinations is you might have COVID-19 again, but you won't have the serious illness. And that's what, for example, BCG. Getting BCG at infancy doesn't mean that you won't have TB. You will still have TB, but the chances of you having severe form of TB, which might make you handicapped or quadriplegic or paraplegic, those things won't happen because you've had the BCG.
The chief pediatrician also explained that vaccines are drugs and any drug will give a reaction, whether minor or a big reaction, because that's a foreign thing coming into the body, so it's normal.
Think of it that way. Any drug, whether it's amoxicillin, whether it's paracetamol, whether it's a vaccine, it will always give a reaction. And let's think of it like that. But the risks are very small with all the misinformation that has been given out, especially in social media. Let me encourage our people that it's important that we get this COVID-19 vaccination.
Other districts of Central Province will begin their vaccine rollout program starting Monday, May 10th.
It's a plus that we also starting here at Edai Town, and a nice facility that's set out there will be one of the places that we will continue to use to roll the COVID-19 vaccine out. The other initial places that we marked out for Iri is the Papa and Sogeri, and then we'll move the other way to Busere and Gaire and those other Iri areas.
Representatives of the Gulf PHA and NCD PHA also attended the Central PHA vaccine rollout launch and offered support to ensure their people are protected. David Towa, chairman of the NCD PHA board, emphasized the need to collaborate and protect the people of Central and Gulf because of the shared provincial borders with NCD.
But our aim as health authorities is to ensure that all of our people, whether in the city of Port Moresby or in the outlying provinces of Central and Gulf, get access to the vaccine and, by association, get access to good health. So it's really important, and I think everyone witnessed today just how simple the process is. It's a registration, it's a vaccination, it's an observation, and then you go about your lives in a much more confident way because you have the protection of the vaccine. And that's the message that we want to send to all the residents of our 3 provinces. Please come forward, please register to get the vaccination, and please get the vaccination. It protects yourself, it protects your families, your workmates, it protects everyone around you, and ultimately it allows us to get back to living, you know, what used to be a normal life and what we hope we can get back to at some stage.
His counterpart and deputy chairman of the Gulf PHA, Richard Cussman, agreed.
It's important we get vaccinated. Central Province, NCD is a hotspot. NCD has massive community transmission.
Mr. Cussman also shared his experience with getting vaccinated. He said he took the vaccine because he believes he still has a long life to live, goals to pursue, and children and grandchildren to spend more time with. He discouraged the public from listening and spreading false information about the vaccine.
I stand here on the 31st of March. My wife and I were vaccinated. We're in the upper 60 age bracket. We're fortunate. It affects different people differently. But the only issue we had was a slight swelling here on our arm where we were vaccinated. Fortunately for both of us, we didn't have any other issues. But we both have pre-existing illnesses. I had open heart surgery 15 years ago, and my wife suffered from deep vein thrombosis, which is blood clotting. And she's here today, and we're doing very, very well.
The government continues to maintain that COVID-19 vaccination is voluntary, even among frontline workers.
That ends another episode of Scope, a kind reminder to apply simple measures to prevent the transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance.